Morning, today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. Present with us is Doug Dodge, who is with Emergency Management. Doug, you want to tell us what's going on in your department, please?
Just been really busy the last we start planning for Country Jam in January, and we've finally got to just got it done this last week. So obviously the last month or so has been very heavy as far as preparation activities and stuff. We did a full incident action plan and a lot of organization, and so and from that perspective it went really well. The one thing is as frustrating as it can be, because we do get tired because it's such a draining event, but it does give us a chance to use every tool that we have in our arsenal to test. And
Good
so
training.
it's a great training. And so that's, when we set up mobile dispatch down there. This year I got the new mobile console. So dispatch not only has their computer screens and stuff down there. They have a 3-computer setup and screens like that. And then, but they also, one of the Homeland Security grants I got was a Zetron console essentially, and it works through Starlink. So again, managing all of our toys together is, but it allows the dispatcher to use it links wherever that console is to the console here. And so you can talk on 261 North from anywhere in the world essentially on this console dispatch cam. So it allows an independently functioning dispatch location for which kind of piggybacks on how we were doing mobile dispatch, because we use the other thing that we use extensively down there is the Ruby Garnet repeater. I got that several years ago, and that's a game changer as far as local comms in that area. But again, that's just local. It doesn't get out to the rest of the county. So this was kind of the last piece of that connection that I've been wanting to accomplish. So able to do that. I will say, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but DCI was there, and as they have for the last couple of years, and they've gotten more leads, they said, out of this event than like even the Beartooth Rally, which is just motorcycles. So that's saying something. Yeah, I'm sorry, Division of Criminal Justice.
Okay.
For Division of Criminal Investigation from Department of Justice. So they came down and drugs and motorcycle gangs is the two things. So so that was, I mean, it's good that they're there. A little nerve-wracking the stuff that they find out about that we're dealing with, but that's the nature of the world. So anyway, again, just I also used, we had good coordination with FirstNet, sorry, that cellular service. It's essentially AT&T, but it's their first responder version. It gives prioritization, and they reconfigured for us their cellular coverage, the bands over that site. And so you had full cell coverage from that tower that sits up on the hill there. They reconfigured the beam layout or whatever, and so we had great cell service at the site this year. We use the caverns, the visitor center. We partner with them to have some briefings and stuff like that, a place to get out of the 105 degrees or whatever it was down there this year. The reconfigure, it couldn't cover all that area, so they also did use one of their small deployables. Their big ones are called cows, cell on wheels. The small one they call a Colt. And so they put a Colt there for us, and they don't charge us for this. It's just support that they do. And that made a huge difference over there too. So that was pretty cool. So just leveraging all of our technology has been pretty cool. Anyway, so now that that's over with, I actually haven't, we're doing an after action review here in another 20 minutes over at the sheriff's office. So kind of going over some of our lessons learned and things to get better at, because there's always those at those events.
They said they were thinking 4,000, did they say?
They said, Jim said 4,000 that day.
It was probably, I would say it was less than half of what it was last year. Much
So it's
smaller.
only about 8,000.
Yeah, right. It was way smaller than last year.
Well, and he even said that was
Yeah,
They were
Probably,
expecting that, yeah.
they were expecting it. They had a big Chris Stapleton concert in Missoula. They had the rodeo going on, they had Frontier Days going on.
yep. So it was, I mean, for us, it was better because it was, I mean, you still had your typical stuff, you know, but public safety stuff, but it wasn't near the pace. Last year was just ridiculous. I've never seen it quite that bad. And so, you know, we all responded in kind. Lincoln Ambulance brought 15 people down.
Mhm.
Which was good. I mean, we didn't have to call Jefferson Valley. We didn't have to bother Three Forks Ambulance, which they appreciated immensely. So, but who knows? I don't know what that means for the future. We did ask them, you know, if you find out if you're gonna keep doing this or if you're not, please let us know as soon as you can. And they said that decision is made sometime in October. So I've got that on my radar to ask. The planning and all that stuff is really healthy and a really good thing. I think going through it is kind of brutal, so it wouldn't necessarily break my heart if that went somewhere else.
How was the security on their side of things?
It's the same as it's
Same
always
old?
been. It's yeah, it's interesting because one of the Undersheriff Everett talked to the folks up in Flathead, and we had three of their one sergeant and two of their reserves. The sergeant that came down also runs Under the Big Sky, their big event up there, so we could kind of compare notes. And they said that they have, I don't think that's the Live Nation one, but it's the same. They have the same issues with security as that's just and after some of the conversations, I visited with some of my counterpart in Missoula, because there's that one this weekend over there, and it's just it's the lowest bidder, and so their security is not at any of these. That's so not that that's okay, but just that's not anything that I don't think we can have an impact on, unfortunately. But it was very helpful to have the input, especially for Under the Big Sky, because I mean, there's 30,000 people there. Of course, it's a much different clientele than what you get down here. And that's one of the reasons that DCI they were very interested to keep coming to this one rather than going up there, just because of the leads that they can get. So, even with a smaller event. So, I mean, we're getting better. I think, it is exhausting, as you well know, but
I gotta say though, I didn't hear as much radio traffic, which was good. I mean,
Yeah.
phones and stuff, which is a really good thing.
yeah, it was good. Like I said, I mean, it definitely, the number of incidents reflects the smaller attendance. That was way better. So, you know, what that means for the future, who knows? We're gonna see, but everything that we've had in place, and there's some more things, just small things that we're gonna try to do next year. We'll find out, but that there's, you know, all of these leveraging technology has just been so helpful for this, because it's a force multiplier, because there's only so many of us, so it really helps. So
Well,
anyway,
anything is good training.
it absolutely is. Well, and I agree. I mean, that's the interjurisdictional coordination amongst, I mean, and we do a full, I do a full planning cycle for it, just like we do for any incident. I use the same software that I use for the incident management team to develop the incident action plan, and we do the same cycle that we do. And so from that perspective, that's invaluable. You can't, it's because you don't realize the importance of doing that stuff when you don't implement it, right?
Right.
When you're not on the ground.
Yeah, if you got a fire right now, you know how to set up and get
Right.
going
Yep.
immediately. Yeah.
So-
awesome.
So anyway, it's a relief that it's done, but I'll probably be tired for the next couple of weeks. As far as other stuff, fire restrictions, I send that email out. You guys feel free to respond or not. I do appreciate you guys, you know, if I'm not in line with what you're thinking, please let me know. But unsurprisingly, I had those calls this morning. There was no interest in doing any stage restrictions on the
What
forest.
about, the force? Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say, what about, well, that's
fireworks and you heard about that call last night? They
I
called you?
did, and I actually talked to, they called me
Oh,
last night
ridiculous.
and it is stupid, and that's one of the areas where I remember, I think when I started, that was one of the first issues that we had was dealing with fireworks, and it's not, Montana law just doesn't allow
Yeah.
us to do much with it.
Doesn't allow us to do
No.
hardly anything,
Yeah.
unless you're in the city.
Right, and it wasn't in the city, and it didn't burn onto somebody else's land, so it's not even like you can,
Yeah.
so, but I agree with you, it's super
Way
frustrating.
dispatch made it sound like it was taken off.
Yeah, and it wasn't, I mean, it was,
That's-
it was a quarter acre, that's,
Oh, okay.
so it wasn't.
But you know how you hear that.
The first reports, I know, especially at night, right?
Right.
Everything's gonna look bigger, and
Yep.
so you do have to kind of. There's, and that's an experience thing, I think, and they're only telling us what they are told, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
so we don't necessarily, the person could say, oh, the world's ending, and.
Information out is only as good as the
Yep.
information.
Yep, so while not ideal, a quarter acre is, I mean, it's still. Nothing else, it's a wake up call for
Oh,
them,
big
but,
wake up.
Better than
but
5 acres.
yeah, exactly. And so unfortunately, there's not, until the state changes anything, there's not gonna be anything we can do. And I don't see any of that changing anytime soon. We seem to be going the other way with regard to that, since they allow bottle rockets and stuff. So anyway, so fire restrictions, we are in the 90th percentile, which is the trigger point for safe zone restrictions in the regional plans, but they almost never go by that. From my own experience, so becoming too cynical, maybe.
What about these calls that are going on up in on the top up there on homestake up in there? The fires, is it what campfires, or these lightning strikes, or what's?
We've had we've had lightning strikes has been
Lightning
the
strikes,
vast majority of everything. We had like last night was the fireworks, and then we had one that was dragging tire chains. But other than that, which I mean, when we're at that point, that's telling you that the fine fuels are receptive, right?
Oh,
That,
boy.
like, it's just a matter of time before we start getting stuff.
Mhm.
The thing that I am surprised about, because on Thursday, I believe Thursday night, because the south end lost a whole bunch of power for quite a few hours of the county. And we got a ton of lightning and positive lightning strikes too, especially in the valley down there. And we so far have not had a single call out of that, which really surprised me, because there was a lot of lightning, there was a lot of rain in it. But so anyway, but we are in high fire danger. So we're, leaning forward on all that stuff, being ready, and the DNRC has started their what's called severity staffing. So they're paying to have firefighters at Whitehall and fire, and starting today in Montana City, Montana City Fire. So that's
24 hours.
No, I don't think it's 24 hours yet. The severity staffing is that it varies depending on the conditions. They can do 24 hours if they need to, but I don't think we're quite there as far as severity yet. They call it severity, and this is something that they do statewide. It's just the first time, well, this is the second year that they've ever done it in Jefferson County. It's the model that they use in eastern Montana, because there's no staff, right? And it's a really good thing for local departments too, because they get paid, right, for their equipment and for their people. They have to meet the red card requirements. They have to be pack tested and all that kind of stuff, to meet the same requirements that a DNRC firefighter has to do. But it's a really good thing, because somebody's there and ready to go as soon as the siren hits. So, and they do monitor all of our stuff. I talked to Scott Ward, who's the fire management officer, FMO, out of Helena, every day or two or couple of days, just because of stuff that's going on. We had that semi-fire down in, reported semi-fire down in Elk Park, that they can't hear everything about it, but they know something's going on, and so he just calls and say, is that, they're ready to act. They've got quite a few. DNRC has a lot more aircraft capacity now, which is a good thing, specifically their air attack, which air attack it's actually more, I don't know if you're familiar with air attack, but that's a platform where they go up and they organize it's essentially a division supervisor for all aircraft resources that are coming, so it's just an airplane, they don't actually put water on stuff, but they will fly around, they can size up incidents, or they, if there's multiple aircraft, once you get past 3 aircraft, they have to be there in order to deconflict the airspace with it's like an air traffic controller essentially in the sky over incidents. But anyway, they have their own dedicated air attack now. They used to require those from like the Forest Service or something like that, but now the state has its own, which is kind of cool, and it's based out of Helena. Of course, we're geographically very fortunate in our location because we have access for if they're not on
So
something.
response time can be quicker.
Way quicker, yeah, as long as they're not on something else,
Yeah.
right? So that's a good thing, and and thankfully I know the director of the air attack from my incident management team work. I've worked with him a ton, and so I've got his personal cell number, so it's like, hey, can you do this? So it pays to have connections like that, and so anyway, so that's, I mean, it's a matter of time. We're gonna catch fires when it takes off. Thankfully, even that one last night, right, it was a 1/4 acre, so it was receptive. It's not like it ran, because I was concerned that, especially where that was located, that had the potential to run, but stuff is still somewhat reasonably behaved.
You knew before that there was another dispatch, right?
I'm sorry?
There was another dispatch out there. You heard about that one up towards the Whitetail?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did,
That
yeah,
was,
yep,
and luckily they were out there and then just diverted,
right.
which was a good call.
Yeah, they had 2 of them at the same time, yeah, and those Whitehall's so busy, they're they're
Yeah.
just, those guys are dedicated, 'cause holy smokes, they're busy down there. So anyway, so that's all on the fire side, unless you had questions on any of that. Speaking of Country Jam, I have to say, our IT support was spectacular.
Great timing, good timing.
No, seriously though, he's always on call for us, and it's like, and he always have little things that come up, how
Right.
computer stuff works, and
Oh, sure.
he's an important part of the equation, a super important part, so thanks to Shane for his effort. Grant stuff, nothing earth shattering there. EMPG, we did get back for last fiscal year. This fiscal year, we applied, and it looks like to be the same essentially as last year, with a couple of additional forms that we had to fill out. So hopefully this year it's not, the reimbursement doesn't take quite as long as that, but who knows. I was also, Shane and I have discussed working on some upgrades to some of our IT infrastructure outside of just the cyber grants that he's working on, if and when we see a Homeland Security grant. So that could be an option. On the planning side of stuff, I try not to book much for this time of year just because of things that go, but if I do have open time, this is when I do try to address some of the emergency operations plan. That's kind of like my Bible for how we operate, and it's a very large document that I really enjoy doing that stuff. So I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to planning stuff. So it's like, anyway, that's something I like to work on. The CWPP, that's what we had talked about with using some Title III money potentially, and I haven't had a chance to work on that a lot, but that's still on my playbook. One of the things I do want to bring up, and I mean, this is kind of outside my office other than looking for grant opportunities. The dispatch, the computers in dispatch, the dispatch consoles themselves, they're on Windows 10, I believe. We've had this discussion before. And upgrading them to Windows 11 requires some upgrading to some of the console stuff. And there's gonna be obviously a bill that comes along with that. I already talked to Tom about that, but it's Tom Grimsrud, but also Tom Dunn is supposed to be giving me a quote for whatever that's gonna take, and I said, well, do you have like a ballpark of what that is? Because obviously that stuff's not cheap, and he said it'd be like 40 grand or something like that. So not a small bill. I wish we would have known about this before our budgeting process, but
Is it tied to 911?
I believe it is. Yes, I mean, it's part, I don't see how it couldn't be, because it's part of the dispatch console, so.
So I think we can use Title 3 of 911.
And that could be, that's one of the things that, I mean, when it comes to functionality and IT security, to me, that's even more important than the CWPP stuff. So if we have to reallocate, that's an important upgrade in my opinion. But I don't have the details from Tom Dunn yet. He just said that there's some issues supposedly that probably is beyond my pay grade as far as understanding exactly what's going on, but he said that there's some stuff that needs to be upgraded in there, because I think the last time we did that was with Homeland Security when you were sheriff, and we did get done, but
It was expensive,
yeah, and that was,
and there was Homeland Security money, that was all part of the radio project when we
Right.
did that.
but all that stuff, I mean, with technology, that's the downside. It's great when you have it, but you do have to update it. So anyway,
You know,
I do want, that should be on your guys' radar. I don't know the time frame or anything like that, but I know that there's a couple of exposures from an IT perspective and operationally in the consoles themselves, so.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of making a decision if we gotta do it. We'll just have to find
Yeah.
the money for it, so.
So anyway,
Let us know when you get.
yeah,
idea.
once I get more from, I mean, Tom Dunn is of course super busy this time of year too, so. It's not that he's never not busy. Anyway, I think that's all I have. I gotta get over to my next meeting unless you guys have questions.
I don't think so.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Well,
Thanks, you guys. Sorry I talked too long as usual. I meant to get out of here about 10 minutes. We'll make,
Are we adjourned with your?
Oh, yes, it'd be adjourned. Thank you, sir.